Hey, congratulations on this brand new album. It is an absolutely sensational album. I know our listeners have already
Thank you.
our listeners have already fallen in love with When Life Was Hard and Fast, and they can't wait to hear more. So congratulations.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much. That's good to hear.
So, mate, tell us a little bit about what you wanted to set out to achieve with this album, because it is such an amazing rock album. What did you want to achieve with this album?
I think when I put it together and I started working with Keith Nelson, who co-produced it and co-wrote a lot of the songs on it with me, we're both very much cut from the same cloth, and we're both sort of blue-collar working-class guys, dyed-in-the-wool rockers. I think we wanted to write a bombastic, anthemic rock and roll album with loud guitars and big choruses. And I think that was our one and only mandate when we set out to start making the record. And I feel that we went some way to achieving that. And so I'm extremely proud of it. It was a real joy to make and record it, but I think we just wanted to be really direct and try and connect with people and make people feel good, get to hang on to feel good and be uplifting.
Yeah. How difficult was it to put together the album during a pandemic as well? Because I know for us here in Melbourne, we were in lockdown for 8 months, so our music industry kind of ground to a halt. How difficult was it to put the album together?
It was the easiest thing because the album was recorded before the pandemic. So the album was recorded in 2019. In April of 2019, the album was recorded, so long before the pandemic was ever on the horizon. So it was business as normal back then, So it was, it was a real, like I said, the actual pandemic had no effect on the album whatsoever.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about what was inspiring you when you were working on the lyrics for this album, because it does feel like a really, really personal album. So what was inspiring you lyrically?
Thank you. I mean, the lyrics to me are just, they're a diary. It's opening my diary to the world. It's my experiences, it's memories, stuff that's happened to my family, to my friends, things that my opinions of things that I'm seeing on the news or hearing about, or people that I'm meeting along the way. I mean, it's everything, but it's all written from the soul, and all my lyrics are personal. I have to have an attachment to it to be able to write about it. So, some of the songs are written about memories, about growing up back in Ireland. Some stuff that's going on right now, with the family and friends, stuff that I see going on in the world. You're really just opening your diary up and giving your opinion. I think that's all you can do, as honestly as you can.
Yeah. And there's a strong sense of family here as well. I know the front cover, I believe, depicts a car race that was very close to your great-grandfather's farm. Is that correct? Tell us a little bit about that.
That's 100% correct, yeah. There was a farm. The race was called the Ards TT, and it was in the county of Down, which is where I'm from in Ireland. And it ran from 1928 to 1936. It was like a Formula One race of its day. So you're talking about 250,000 people would come from all over the world to watch these guys race these real primitive cars. There's no health and safety back then, so there was a lot of thrills and spills. And it was a road race. It wasn't on a circuit. It was on these Irish roads. And the course actually snaked around my old family farm. And one of the most notorious corners was one of the fields on my grandfather's farm. And he used to rent out the field to spectators to watch the race on. And the front cover depicts an actual crash scene at the corner on that field with all the spectators watching it. I was able to track down the photograph. I think it's from about 1932. And I just remember my dad telling me stories when he was a little boy, when he's like 5 or 6, and watching the races. And when we wrote the title track, When Life Was Hard and Fast, it just seemed the right thing to do, to try and track down some footage and some old photographs and tie it all in with that. And yeah, I was able to do that, and I love the cover. It came out great.
How difficult was it to track down that material, because it looks absolutely amazing in the video clip as well?
Thank you. I mean, I struck gold. I mean, I lived in Northern Ireland for a long time. I go back a lot, and I know a lot of people there, and I have a lot of connections there, and I'm very blessed. So I really just put the word out, and I was able to track down a couple of who are in their 70s, who actually are from the same town that I'm from, and they had a huge archival library full of footage races that a lot of people hadn't seen. And I was able to get in contact with one of the brothers, and on the phone, and I just said who I was and, you know, what I was planning to do. And it turns out he knew my father and, you know, all that kind of thing. And I just said, look, I'd love to get my hands on this footage. Can I buy some of it off you? And he said, look, you can have it. And he gave me all this footage for free, which is wonderful. And I was able to obviously use it in the video for the song, and you know, a lot of the stills, photographs I used as well. So, you know, it was great. I really struck gold, and it was just lovely to see all the old footage and see, you know, the farm where my grandfather was and where my father grew up back in the day.
Yeah. And keeping on the family topic as well, you also recorded the song Time Don't Seem to Matter with Pepper, your daughter. What was that like, recording with your daughter?
I think it was a lot more thrilling for me than it was for her. You know, I mean, she's at that age where, you know, she's not too impressed by anything. But she's a great little singer, and she's really into music. She's playing a couple of instruments, and I'd heard her singing and knew she was good, and I wrote the song about her, and I was just like, hey, kiddo, you know, I'm going to record this song. It's about you. Will you come in and sing on it for me, please? And she came down to the studio, and we actually had a great day hanging out, and it was just a hugely, you know, proud father moment for me to have her on there. It's incredible.
Yeah. How early on did you realise that she was an amazing singer? Because I know for yourself, you learnt guitar around 13, so was she an early bloomer in music as well?
Very much, even younger. We would be downstairs and we could hear her up in her room singing along to, she likes all the Broadway musicals, so she started singing along to those at the age of sort of 8 or 9 years old, and then, you know, get into playing the guitar and the ukulele and the keyboards, and just, you know, we never really pushed her into it. I mean, there's always music going on in the house. She's always been around it, but to hear her up in her room just for hours on end, and I was just like, man, she's got a really good voice, you know. Because I'll be honest with you, like, if she sucked, she wouldn't have been on there. I wouldn't have just gone, oh, you got to have my daughter on there, even though she can't really sing. I knew she was good enough. You know, I'm not one of those dads. Oh, it's my kid. It doesn't, you know. I'm brutally honest that way, and I knew that she was more than good enough to hold her on in the studio and come in and sing, and she really delivered. And like I said, it was just wonderful. Yeah, that she's on there.
Now, talking of guests, you've got some amazing guests on this album. Dizzy Reed, Joe Elliott. Tell us a little bit about bringing those guys in to work on the album, and how do you pick which artist you want to have appear on each track as well?
You know, there's not as you're making it sound like a lot more thought than actually there is. You know, the tracks were finished before we decided who was going to play on what. These are, you know, friendships that have been forged in years of touring and being on the road and meeting these people and working on their stuff and them working with me previously. I mean, it's fairly incestuous. These guys are first and foremost some of my closest friends. They also just happen to be insanely talented musicians and also happen to make music that I'm a huge fan of. Joe Elliott, I've worked with over the years quite a lot. Joe's produced a couple of my solo albums, and I actually sang on a Def Leppard album back in the day. So, you know, it's a no-brainer. I really trust Joe. You're not really going to argue with a guy that sold 150 million albums. He's always a great guy for me to sort of go to. What do you think of this? What, you know, and I always value his opinion. You know, Andy Taylor, again, produced an Almighty album, my old band, way back in the day. I've been working with Andy on some of his solo stuff over the years. So, again, that was a no-brainer. Dizzy, I've known for years. Dizzy's here in LA. You know, and it's just the question of just going, okay, you know, this track sounds great. Wouldn't it be really cool to get Dizzy to play keyboards on this, or Luke from Thunder to rip a solo on this? And then we just send them the tracks, you know, because obviously everybody's all over the place. We just email them the tracks, and, you know, a few days later, boom, you know, the track would come. Wonderful part on it. Yeah.
Is there a musician out there that you've always dreamed about working with that you've never been able to get into the studio yet to work with you?
You know, probably for a good reason. I'd love to work. I'd love to do something. Sting, it would be amazing to, you know, just to do something with him. I think that would be great. Sadly, there's quite a few I'd like to work with that are no longer with us. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. The track Still Alive, I absolutely loved that track, and then I found out that the track was actually inspired by a movie that I love as well, Hell or High Water. Tell us a little bit about how Hell or High Water actually inspired that track.
I'm a sucker for the outlaws, but the outlaws with a heart. You know, they're bad guys, but they're not really bad guys, and they're actually, they're bad guys because they have no choice to be, but there's actually some good inside them. I love that kind of narrative, and that movie blew me away. And it just inspired me and started me thinking about I've done a lot of American road trips myself, and I just love that idea of the road trip and the fastness and the running, and not running to any certain destination. You don't really know what you're running from. You keep running, you want to keep moving and keep moving forward, and that sense of abandonment and that freedom and the not caring about rules or regulations. And so I just took a complete artistic license with that idea, and pun intended, ran with it and developed this little story about these characters throughout the song and what they might be running from, and why they might be running. And at the end, really know, they don't really know themselves, and it all kind of ends in a hail of bullets.
Awesome! It is such an amazing track, mate. I absolutely love it, and I know we are.
Thank you.
I know we're running out of time very, very quickly, but I was just wondering, where to now for you? I know the live music scene is starting to open back up. We're getting some first shows here in Melbourne tonight. What about for you? Will you be looking to tour with this album at some stage?
Yeah, sadly, we're a little bit behind. The rest of the world's a little bit behind. You guys, we're slowly opening back up here in the States. UK's obviously, in Europe, still quite slow. I don't think there's going to be too much happening until the tail end of this year, but hopefully going into 2022, we'll be back at it. And yeah, listen, as soon as it's safe to get back out there, I'm all about it. Absolutely, I'll be back on the road with a vengeance.
Awesome. Well, mate, as I said, our listeners have loved the first couple of singles off this album. What would you like to say to them now before they go out and grab a copy of the album?
Well, that's amazing. Thank you so much. I'm glad you guys are digging the tunes. That makes me feel very, very happy indeed. Thank you for the support. Please go check out the rest of the album. You won't be disappointed. And, I can't wait to get down there and see you all in the flesh very, very soon.
Awesome, Ricky. Thank you so much for chatting to us today. It's been an absolute honour, and hopefully we do get to see you in Australia very, very soon.
Thank you, and thank you for supporting me and playing the songs. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem at all, mate. You stay safe and have a great day.
You too, pal. Be safe.
All right.
See you soon.
See ya. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.